Well, there is no time like the present to take charge of your finances and set yourself up for success. And this morning, we're talking with Jeff Bangerter of Bangerter Financial Services. He's joining us through Zoom with some helpful tips. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Jordan. How are you doing today?
We're doing very well. This is probably the weekend that folks who are a little last minute thinking all about money and finances. Taxes are due on Monday, and it's also Financial Literacy Month. Tell us what does that mean, and what's the message that you want people out there to know about financial
Well, I think,
success?
we're seeing all this, inflationary pressure and all this stuff. And I think if you have just some good basics down, like build a budget, right? If you look at your situation and you build out a budget, and it should be kind of a yearly, monthly, and even weekly budget so that you can see where you're spending your money. It should really include everything from, rent or mortgage payments, utilities, any other loans that you have. And then you want to also factor in some fun, right? So you want to make sure that you've got shopping trips or travel or eating out built into that. And then what you really should do is look at it at least monthly and go back and say, all right, where did I really spend my money, right? And track that. And you can see if you're, spending more than you should be, more than what your normal flow is. You want to make sure that you are not spending more than what you make.
Right. Now, when it comes to, building the budget, what's the biggest, I think, challenge for people? Is it not keeping track of everything and then kind of losing track of where they spent something?
It really is. And it comes into, managing credit card use, I think, is the big thing. So just overall call it managing debt. And so I think people, especially right now, gas prices are so high, you just start, well, I'm going to fill my tank. And, if you don't keep track of things, then you start to lose control of what your actual flow is. So you want to manage that debt. There are a couple of things that you might want to consider on debt if you have significant or a handful of different debts that you need to pay off. There are two methods. The avalanche method says, well, you should attack the one with the highest interest rate first. I actually prefer the snowball method, which is kind of like a snowball rolling down the hill. You kind of gain momentum and you attack the debt with the lowest balance first. Gives you kind of a sense of accomplishment. You knock one out and move on to the next one. Either way, though, you want to make sure you're making your minimum payments on all of your other debts.
Got it. So quick question. Let's say a person has 4 credit cards and they pay off the smallest one. Do they apply what that minimum was to the next cards? Do you kind of keep a budget for how much you're spending or paying back the credit cards, or?
Absolutely. So as you're doing the minimum on everything else, as soon as you knock one out, you want to go kind of double up on the next one, right? And just keep doing that. So once you get to that biggest one, right, everything you've been paying is just going toward that debt and knocking it out.
Yes. And once you pay that debt, you need to invest in your future, right?
Absolutely. That's one of the things we have seen people starting to pull back on what they're putting into their 401ks and IRAs and such. But I really encourage people to stay on top of this. You ultimately are going to need long-term money. So 10 to 15% of what you earn every month should be going into either a company-sponsored 401k or your own IRA. And you might want to even consider opening up a Roth IRA so that you can have some tax-free money when you retire, kind of diversify your tax situation a little bit. But bottom line is you need to do a little bit of planning. You can work with financial advisors. There's plenty of software online, but you really got to focus on staying into, that long-term planning strategy.
Absolutely. And Jeff, how can people at home listening and watching, if they want to maybe reach out to you and the services that you guys provide, what's the best way to do that?
Our website's the best, bangerterfinancial.com, and it'll give you ways to contact us. And we focus, when we do a plan, we really focus on every variable that somebody has. Every plan is individual, and whether it's with us or another financial advisor, that's really the most important thing I think you could do.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time and giving us those helpful tips on how to stay financially literate for Financial Literacy Month. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Our pleasure.